Okay, the recording has started. Very good. Thank you for joining me for today's Lunch and Learn. We're going to talk about finding problems in your Oracle database, finding the problem SQL. This is just a little disclaimer, but you're not paying anything for this, so the disclaimer really doesn't apply too much. But that's my little disclaimer, and a little bit about me. I think most of you know me. You've been getting if you're on this webinar, you've probably been getting my email blasts, my updates and such. I am an Oracle ACE director. This is one of the reasons that I do these Lunch and Learns, is to help spread the good word about the Oracle technology. I do regularly blog. I'll be doing these Lunch and Learns for a while. Out on my website are all the prior Lunch and Learns. I did quite a number of them last year. So I have turned a lot of my training material into video. It's available on Safari Books online. Do check with your HR department. See if you already have a Safari account. A lot of larger companies already do have a Safari account, and you can watch my stuff for free. So DVDs are purchasable. There's discount codes on my website. I do want you to know that I still do training on site, and these are the main classes that I do. And today's content is actually out of the advanced part of my SQL tuning class. So I did write a new Toad book. I'm not going to really make any reference to Toad today. And we are going to talk a little bit about this new program that I wrote. What it does is it shows the current executing SQL. Answers the question, why is my system slow? So works with any Oracle database, cloud, out of the cloud, remote, on-site. No extra Oracle licensing needed. It's a very cost-effective solution. I show a variety of useful information, and we'll cover that in today's presentation. Today we're going to talk about why is my system slow, finding the problem SQL. And I have several tips that might be helpful to you. Next week I have to update these dates. Last week I was trying to do the webinar and the dates just didn't work. So at any rate, why is my system slow? Finding problem SQL is today. Next week we're going to take a close look at the cost-based optimizer trace. That's a pretty cool presentation. I spend quite a bit of time on how the optimizer works and show you exactly what I'm talking about in this cost-based optimizer trace. I am going to write a little program that will run this trace for you as well. So February 1st will then be an OBI presentation using KPIs with a live demo. And then February 8th will be another SQL tuning, a close look at the advanced explained plan syntax. Hope you find these of interest. So why is my system slow? Actually, this falls into several categories. Two primarily, Oracle working too hard, i.e. Oracle is I/O bound, Oracle's busy doing something. What is it busy doing? Or Oracle is not allowed to work, i.e. you've got some contention going on. Something is blocking the other users. So really what you need to find is the SQL that's causing the problem, and we're going to look in the library cache for that SQL in today's presentation. So there we go, Oracle working too hard. How many people have been there on a Saturday afternoon? It's nice outside, and the computer just won't let go of you. Or the old strike any key, Oracle are not allowed to work. So basically, if you can get your DBAs to do this, then you will be able to see a lot of the $V tables as well. Basically, you can create or replace the view, but you can drop public synonyms, create public synonyms, and then you select on either those original views to public or to a very specific list. Basically, what you need is that bottom one there, that grant select to specific views like $V SQL, $V SQL bind capture, $V session, $V instance. Those are all good views to have access to run some of this and do some of this research. I can understand blocking some of this stuff on production systems, but on test environments, QA environments, you should be able to get these privileges so that you can run some of these scripts. So if Oracle's working too hard, what are the users asking Oracle to do? How many sessions do you have going? What kind of I/O are the sessions advocating? I've got a cool script that runs against $$ file stat. What kind of activities going on across your table spaces? Okay, and then that leads us to partial SQL text. You will be able to trace back the objects that are being accessed in those busy files, and then trace that back to once you get that object name, you've got partial SQL text, and then we can use that to find specific SQL statements in the library cache. Now, Oracle not being allowed to work, we're looking at $$ system event. What's the waiting SQL? How long has it been waiting? And then $$ event. Again, I'll maybe do a lunch and learn on the 1046 trace, but basically, if you can get things traced, you can figure out the problem. I'm going to give you some tools that will help so that you don't necessarily need to run a trace. So first one up is this $$ file stat. And I've written this little script that shows the information in $$ file stat. And what we're seeing here is the busy database files. We can see this one's getting a lot of physical reads and writes. It's in our example table space, but basically you take this file number here, okay? And you need to run this assist. You're going to need to work with a DBA type to do this. This is this $BH. This is some research, some cool research I did years ago. At any rate, you plug this in. This script down here is going to ask for that file number. You go into that file number, run this script as sys, plug in that file number, and it's going to tell you the objects that are in the library cache, that are in that buffer cache, okay, not the library cache, but the buffer cache, accessing that file number, okay? So you're going to access that file number. You grab that object name, and now you plug that into either one of these scripts. This one here is going to show us the busy SQL. So there's our SQL text, and it's going to prompt us for that SQL text, and it's going to order it by rows being processed. This one's going to order by rows being processed, but being a script, you can change this any way you want. Now we're getting SQL text that has that table name in it, okay? And again, you can ask me for these scripts. Send me an email and ask me for these scripts, by the way. Don't just put it in the chat window. The find SQL text. Okay, this is not tested, but this is another way of finding some SQL text in the system, kicking out the sys or system stuff. What kind of access are you doing? So if you're working with explain plans, this one's kind of nice because it's going to find specific SQL text that goes with certain explain plan comments. Now, going back to our original, we go back a slide, and we've got some SQL text. You grab some more of the SQL text and plug it into one of these. Now, this one will find the SQL statements as they were executed over the past 7 days. You plug in that partial SQL text, and the reason I showed you the other slide was so that you get a little bit more SQL text than what you had originally had, because the more SQL text you give, the fewer items you're going to get. You're going to get more down to the actual problem SQL that you want. This is going to kick out the explain plan that they executed with over the past 7 days. Do remember, require some additional Oracle licensing. Perhaps you don't have that. I don't know. If you've got check with your DBA staff. They should know if you've got the licensing. With that said, I like this, $$ SQL. You don't need any additional licensing. If you ran the SQL today, you're looking for a problem like right now, this $$ SQL is really good. It is a view into the library cache, the current library cache, not what's being saved to history as in the AWR tables. And it will give you a nice explain plan. Okay? That's what this is going to do. Temporary I/O, we can look in here again. There's our temporary table space. Sometimes you're Oracle's working too hard because you don't have enough temporary table spaces. Everyone's doing sorts. Everyone's doing big data grabs. But usually sorts and group bys are the things that I see. Anymore, I see where you need a temporary table space per 60 or 80 users. Oracle 10 introduced this table space group. Okay, I would implement this if I were you, and you assign users to the temporary table space. You assign them to this group name. And then what Oracle will do, as they log in, it will round robin them to the temporary table spaces that are available. This is a really good technique for breaking up if you're I/O bound on the temporary table space. Oracle likes to talk about how much space you have in the temporary table space. I'm more interested in how many people are using it. And again, it's a huge depends. And I know everyone hates to hear depends from an Oracle person, but it does depend on if you're doing a lot of sorts. What is your application doing? You're doing a lot of group bys. You're doing a lot of sorts. I would have 80 to 100 people per temporary table space. And then here's one that you can see who's using the temporary table space. I need the script updated. It's old. I need SQL ID to come out of here. I just haven't gotten around to it, which is a circular washer type thing that says to it on it. That's around to it. I haven't gotten around to fixing the script for today's Oracle, but if anyone wants to update this, send it back to me. That would be great. Now, Oracle not allowed to work. Generally, you've got some contention going on. Who is doing the contention? Okay, you got $lock, $system event. $system event is going to show you what kind of wait event you've got going on. $lock is what kind of lock you've got going on. You trace that back through $session. There's $session. There's the session wait. That's what's going on. $lock is will lead you to who has it, and $session is the who has it and who's waiting and who wants it. So you can trace everything back nicely. I've got scripts for this as well. So here's some locking information. We can see this. A lot of Toads, a SQL Developer, Toad, both have screens that will show you who has it and who wants it. So this is $lock. This is the lock information. Okay, the different locks that are going on out in the system. And this latch contention, who's holding the locks too long. And what I have found is with locking is if you get even those SQL statements to run just a little bit faster, tune those up. It's amazing how many locking situations just go away by tuning the people who are holding it too long. So there's several things you can do to speed things up. If you've got locking going on because you're doing direct path loading, you're getting those types of issues. You need to schedule the updaters away from the readers. Consider reporting database. If you get a lot of init-tran type blocks, you can alter the init-trans, and this problem will take care of itself in a couple of days. There's some coding issues. You can do array fetches. You can bump up your array sizes in both your PL SQL and in SQL Plus. So, and there's some other coding techniques that you can do. Now, active SQL, we're kind of going with this. Oracle working too hard, Oracle not allowed to work, or more importantly, why is my system slow? Okay, this will show you the current executing SQL. And basically, I've taken my SQL Tuner program. I used to call it JS Tuner. I've added a couple of more tabs to it, and we're going to see it here. I've added a couple of more tabs to it so that it's still a SQL tuning environment. I've enhanced that a little bit as well. But you can now find the active SQL that is running. So it shows bind variable content. We're going to come back, and I'm going to show you a few of these things. But for right now, let's get out of this, and I want to go to Active SQL. And I'm going to go to the Active SQL tab, okay? Here, I can just click the Find button. And this is all the SQL that's going on out in the system right now. The non-Oracle system, okay? So there's several things going on my system, okay? But I can't really tell what is actively going on. So I can type in active. I said that it does active. So you type in active down here and type in find again. This is the active SQL that's currently executing on my system, okay? Why is it slow? It's been running for 81 minutes. I started this up a little more than an hour ago. But what's going on? It's got an in queue. It's got a row lock contention, okay? Someone has locked the row. This particular update statement wants the rows, okay? So I'm going to probably tweak this up a little bit in the future, but how this program works is you highlight the SQL ID and press this Go button down here. And then from here, this is pretty cool, it produces an advanced explain plan. There's our explain plan with the actual rows that it's been processing. It's an update statement, but there's our query block information. There's our outline. There's the hints that would reproduce that same explain plan. I find this very useful information, though, by the way. Sometimes you do want some of these hints, and it's useful information. Our where clause predicates. There's our information, additional information on our where clause predicates. Okay? And then there's no bind variables in this particular one. So I'm going to go back to active. And we can type in one other thing down here. If we type in DBA down here and click find, it's going to show us everything that's out in the library cache. So what I'm trying to do, and you can see there's lots of different code out there now. We can slide over. There's the code in the library cache. There's how long it's been running, how many times it was executed. Some very useful information out here, okay? So I didn't block anything. What I did when you take this out, run the find, I'm going to go ahead and delete that and go back and find. It just shows you what's currently executing, okay? And then anytime you highlight the SQL ID, let's go back. Anytime you highlight the SQL ID and press find, whether it finds an explain plan for it or not, it does put it, oops. What did I do? I picked one that it didn't have. Highlight the SQL ID and press go. And it will either, this particular one had an explain plan available. There's no SQL ID, but there's the SQL statement. It puts the SQL statement into the our editing tab, so now we can go on and do our other editing. And the other thing that I wanted to show you here, I'm going to go ahead and I meant to have this open. I apologize. And we'll go into our temp one folder. And in here I should have there's the stat sheet that I'm going to send out to everybody. Why is my system slow? Gives you the prereqs, the additional things, the additional types of explain plans. But what I wanted to show you here is I've captured some. The software, it's $99 per Oracle instance, and it's good for a year. But there's that update statement that I was showing you, works for Oracle 10, 11, and 12. You need access to several $V views, the user. Now here's one that's kind of neat, because in Oracle 12, we've not talked about adaptive plans yet, but Oracle 12 has adaptive plans, okay? And there's a common SQL that you'll see me use right down here. This one has my gather plan statistics in it. And there's the estimated rows and the actual rows, okay? Very important explain plan coming out of this. And now look at the dashes over here on the left-hand side. Those are commented out. That's what it's going to change to on the adaptive plan if it wants to. So it kicked all of this out. I added the syntax to do the adaptive plans if it's Oracle 12. So that's all in the tool. And then I was just playing around with it one day, and I found this particular SQL statement out in the library cache, and it's full of bind variables. Okay? So I highlighted the SQL ID and clicked on the Go button, And there's my explain plan again, actual rows. There's my where clause information. There's my outline data. More importantly, there's the where clause predicates. The peaked bind variables, these are peaked bind variables. That's part of this enhanced explain plan. And then down here at the end, I have all of the bind variable content. All of the bind variable content, what they currently are. And then I show, again, you go to the SQL tab, and it'll show you the actual SQL statement. So let's go back to the presentation. And we're precariously close to the end. Talked about finding several problems, several techniques in finding problems in the library cache. Showed you my new tool. Hopefully you'll find this of interest. I can do a demonstration of this tool for your staff. I would like to get you started with this tool. The slides and link to this presentation will be available on my website shortly. Let everyone know about these lunch and learns. I would like to get more people involved. Thank you. Keep in touch. And remember me for your training needs.